Maybe we ask your listeners to build the ultimate coach and put it into and so what would the hologram look like? What would be the face of the hologram? Because people talk about that all the time. They say what's the Mount Rushmore of basketball? What's like, and it's like Jordan, Kobe, like LeBron, like, so build the ultimate coach and then you could actually put that into a game setting. That could be really interesting.
Well, David, welcome to the middle.
Thanks, Megan. Thanks for having me here. This is great.
I'm so excited to talk to you. We have folks joining you in the background, which we'll talk about in a minute. But I want to ask you, I just want to get right into it. Before we tell the audience about your company and what you're doing, are you making people immortal?
We are. Yeah. At Proto, we kind of allow for you to continue long after your time on Earth. Is this really how we're starting this podcast? Holy cow. You already stumped me. I'm like, how do I answer this? That's not going to creep people out. Yeah, some people have. When people think of holograms, sometimes they think of bringing back icons or continuing your legacy long after you pass. That's not our typical thing that we do here, but we are known for doing stuff like that. Yeah.
Well, and I think you hit a really good point, which is that it's a legacy thing. It is not maybe even bigger than the tech part, even bigger than what goes into it. The broader theme is the legacy and what that can bring and what people can do with their own legacy long after they're gone.
Oh, absolutely. Most of the time, people use it for live communication these days. My background was prior to starting this company, Proto. I was one of the main guys who used to bring back the late legends to posthumously perform. So that was like a big part of my life. I started this so I can use holograms to connect the living, and not just for legacy, not just for future, but so real broadcasters like you and me, instead of talking into a microphone so others can hear our voices through a speaker, I thought, what if I could broadcast Megan? What if I could beam you somewhere and make it feel like you're in the room, not just in our ears and not just on a screen, but like really there? And that's what I started this company to do.
Ooh, don't give my kids or me any ideas, David. I wanted to ask you about that because before you started this, you were in broadcast for several decades. So what started a moment where you were like, this is the tech that's missing. This is what's missing. Was there a moment or was it a growing thought you had?
Always wanted to be a broadcaster. Growing up on the East Coast, I was a big fan of watching Letterman during the week, Saturday Night Live on the weekends, Howard Stern every morning. And, when my dad used to drive me around when I was only 6 or 7, I remember him listening to talk radio in the car in his Volkswagen Rabbit. And yes, I know, several decades ago. And so I always loved broadcasting. To me, it was everything. I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I only went to college just so I could have a college radio show and so I can intern at radio stations. I always wanted, and for you kids out there, radio stations were this thing where old people were so I love the idea of broadcasting. I love communication. And for me, this was the evolution. I started a podcast in the early 2000s, 2007, 2008. I started uploading my voice to the Apple thing. And then by 2010, I had a podcast that had hundreds of thousands of downloads every episode. And I met all my friends on that thing. So I met my wife on the podcast. I met a lot of my friends. And so for me, broadcasting has always just been like part of my DNA. And when I was in the broadcasting world, I was working for CBS Radio. I worked for the Yankees and the Mets. For WCBS 880 and WFAN 660 in New York, and in Los Angeles, it was the Lakers and the Dodgers. I worked for KW Radio, Spanish sports, and also KFWB and KNX. We did a lot of sports talk and play-by-play. Absolutely love it. I thought I was going to grow up and become like a play-by-play announcer, maybe for the New York Mets or something. And so for me, what you're looking at if you're watching this is these were holoportation booths. These were little mini hologram radio stations. So instead of broadcasting your voice or your face, the idea was that we could broadcast the entire person.
And who's your team? 'Cause you just described, like, East and West Coast
Yeah,
teams.
I know. Well, this is what happens, Megan, when you so it's like okay, I'm not gonna compare myself to an athlete, but, if an athlete comes up through a farm system of the New York Yankees and then gets traded to the Royals, gets traded to the Tigers, they're no longer a Yankee, fan.
Mhm.
They're with the team, like, they're on the team, they're with the team. So, when I was with the Dodgers, biggest Dodger fan. When I was with the Lakers, huge Lakers fan. But I grew up a Mets fan,
Okay.
still root for them. And I'll tell you, fantasy sports has besides me jumping from team to team on the broadcasting side, fantasy sports has ruined me because I follow players. I don't follow teams so much, and
Yeah.
I'll root against my team. Let's say I'm a Mets fan, I will root against the Mets if I've got the pitcher for the
Yep.
opposing team. I'm like, strike them all out, you know.
Yep.
So terrible sports fan, but I'm super passionate about it. I'll watch an entire football game if I've got the defense or
Yeah.
the kicker.
Yeah.
I'm rooting for kickers.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, fantasy sports is wild. When I was with the Yankees, when I was with the WCBS 80, the Yankees radio network,
Mm.
we were crazy about fantasy sports. We all the whole group, all of us in the cubes, all the cubicle salespeople, we all we would bet on every sport. We did a NASCAR, fantasy NASCAR, and I never watched a single
Nice.
F1. I never watched a race like that before. But meanwhile, on a Saturday afternoon, I'm ignoring my family just so I could just like watch a car go around a track.
Yes.
It's crazy. Fantasy sports is absolutely ridiculous.
It opens the doors, though. I mean, it opens the doors to new fans, new folks that maybe wouldn't have followed it
Yeah.
20 years ago. Um,
Yeah.
how do you describe Proto to someone who has never heard of this?
Yeah, we're a hologram technology company that broadcasts live and AI holograms of the person in real space, which is also a communal experience. So if you're walking through a mall or if you're walking through a stadium or arena and you see a digital replication, a digital doppelganger of a person, it has become a communal experience. Everybody in the room could see it. You don't have to wear anything. You don't have to download anything. You just walk in, and there's the hologram of that person, that athlete, wearing the jersey, or the brand ambassador that's giving you the ability to navigate seamlessly throughout the experience.
Mhm.
We beam people live. We create AI, agentic, multilingual avatars of that person. So, Megan, I can take in 90 seconds, I could create an AI avatar of you. It looks like you. It's 4K resolution. It's got shadows and reflections. It makes it look like you're there. But you speak 300 languages and dialects. You could interact like you're there, even if you're not actually physically there.
How close or far do these, the sources of the hologram have to be? Could
Thousands
they
of
be anywhere?
miles.
That's
Thousands of
insane.
miles. You were just talking about Detroit earlier. We a couple of years ago, Caleb Williams, not Detroit, but the draft was in Detroit.
Yep.
Caleb was the number one overall draft pick. We beamed him from the draft. The number one draft pick goes to the Chicago Bears. Caleb Williams, he stands up, he walks over here, and we beam him to Soldier Field. And so, I mean, in that case, it was only hundreds of miles. We can
Right.
beam people thousands of miles, and they can see you, they could hear you, they could interact with you. It's like they're there. And the feeling of presence is so real that everybody in the room, everybody on the receiving side is they see them. They feel like the presence is in the room. We not sports related, but we beamed Mr. Beast
Yeah.
from a subterranean cave in a New Zealand remote location. We beamed him to the top of a bridge in the wilderness of North Carolina so he could effectively be in two videos at the exact same time. And so that's pretty wild stuff. And that was about 8,000 miles away. So, and we could beam anyone into unlimited locations. I could beam you into hundreds or thousands of places simultaneously. It's regardless of distance.
So walk me through then. You just kinda touched on it. What does it take to create a proto hologram of someone? You just told me you needed 90 seconds. Is that really all you need?
That's for their AI. You need 0 seconds for the live. So
Mhm.
I could put an iPhone in front of you. This camera hooked up to the Proto Studio app. It's a free app. You just create an account, and then you can literally capture that person and beam them. Any 4K camera. It doesn't have to be an iPhone. It could be any off-the-shelf 4K camera. And you get a light. Basically, we're having a bit of a Zoom right now.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
very similar.
Okay.
Locked off camera, a light instead of a ring light. Maybe it's a little bit more of a studio light just to kind of blend a little bit easier.
Mhm.
And it allows for the capture and the projection of a person. It takes very, very few pieces of production equipment. Nothing on the projection on the capture side is proprietary.
Mhm.
Everything that is within our technology that projects, that the software that enables, that is what is the patented proprietary stuff. But yeah, any camera will do.
And if folks who are watching see behind you is on the receiving end, do you need something like the screen behind you to get the receiving part?
Yes, this
Okay.
is where the magic happens. So the hardware, the software, the production process, those all take the live feed or the AI or the pre-recorded content, and it makes it look like the person is physically there. So these are it's like you need an iPhone to have to have a phone call. You need your television to see the production. Same thing with Proto. For the time being, we're using displays. These are 7 feet tall,
Okay.
2 feet deep, 4 feet wide. So a larger than you could be a basketball player and you could walk around and you have plenty of space, and it makes it feel like the person is physically in the room with you. And then we have smaller units, which is like a little Wonka Vision, a little tabletop unit, and it's about 1/5 scale. It's like the size of a laptop, and little holograms are in there. It's great for smaller pieces like,
Oh, yeah.
jewelry or shoes or watches or
Oh.
whatever. But a lot of times people just want to get shrunk down and be a little Mike TV in their Wonka Vision. We call ours the M2. Not
Okay.
as not as creative as name of Wonka Vision was already taken, so I went with M2. I try to explain this to my kids, like, "Dad, what do you do?" I go, "Okay, holograms and agents," and they're like, okay, I'm gonna go to Mary's house and, whatever."
Oh,
So
my 9-year-old and I were driving by a Bank of America a few days ago, and he goes, "Mom, do you still work at Bank of America?" I've never worked at Bank of America. Never even worked in financials. It's amazing what kids kinda pick up and
Yeah.
think that's what my parent does.
That's true. But this is a cool job though to bring to career day. I brought that little
Mm.
M2 to my I've got 10 and 11-year-old daughters and I have a 4-year-old son. My daughters love career day. I get invited every year. I'm so usually I was expecting to be like, "Dad, you're embarrassing me." It's great.
Oh, no.
I brought an AI hologram of Howie Mandel and I was like, "Who knows Howie?" They're like, "Ah!" All the kids, all the 10-year-olds. And so they're talking to Howie. They're talking to him, and
In
he's
career day.
responding, and he's making jokes with them. And he was on his very best behavior. The AI of hologram of Howie Mandel, very much easier to understand in a classroom setting. You know, Howie's great.
Speaking of the AI holograms, what does it take? We kinda talked a little about if you're currently living, what it takes to get that broadcast out, but what if you're not? And I wanna ask because I think one of your more popular examples or ones that where I actually heard of you was you did Stan Lee at the LA Comic Con.
Mm.
And what is the difference between what you need for someone who is living and someone like Stan Lee where he had already passed?
So Stan Lee, we were approached by Cartoon Studios with a K, Cartoon Studios. They own the rights. I know it seems weird. It's like they own the rights to a person's name, likeness, and image, but that's typically what happens after
Yeah.
somebody passes. And then we worked with LA Comic Con and the 4 groups, LA Comic Con, Cartoon Studios, Proto Hologram, and Hyperreal. We all got together and said, "What is this thing going to be?" So the experience was we brought Stan Lee back using this kind of these amazing effects of Stanley, and his smile goes up, so they made his smile go up, and the way he would answer a question, true believers, and so he would go true, but so we working with the estate in LA Comic-Con, they knew exactly how he looks, exactly how he sounds, and then the brilliant artists, Oscar award-winning artists, they created the avatar. Then after it looked and felt and sounded like Stanley, then training the brain. It's called prompt engineering or RAG training. It's
Yep.
what is he going to say? What does he know? People are like, don't do it because he's just going to chat GPT. It's going to look like Stanley, but it's going to pull from the internet. That's not what happened, and that's not how we do it. So we actually create the ultimate library of everything Stanley ever said or wrote down. So if he gave an answer, who's your favorite? Now for everybody, Stanley, one of the Marvel, he was like
Yeah.
he's an icon in the Marvel universe. He created Spider-Man, And so maybe he gave an answer on a red carpet in 1983, like who would win in a fight, Spider-Man or Iron Man? And so let's say he said Spider-Man for these reasons. Though all of those answers were put into this kind of Stan GPT. And so he would answer based on actual facts and things that he actually said. And it wouldn't make up things. It wouldn't just say nice things to you like a lot of ChatGPT does. It literally spoke and acted and reacted and answered. So that's how we do it. It's very sophisticated. You need a state approval, go through 100 approval checkpoints, and it has to be real. It has to. It can't mess with historical facts, especially beyond Stan Lee. When you start doing stuff like presidential libraries or bringing back founding fathers, we're working on stuff right now with America 250. You cannot have them say something or react in a way that they wouldn't have otherwise. Looking
at athletes, foreign athletes that you have worked with or might work with in the future, what is Proto going to allow a team or even a league to do that they haven't been able to do before?
Well, I mean, it's the ultimate Hall of Fame, right? So you can not only as new icons are being created through the sports themselves, you could capture them on hologram hard drive and put them in your hologram Hall of Fame. And it is such an awesome fan experience. Now all of a sudden you're having meet and greets, you're having fan experiences. It's so experiential. You could take selfies with the athletes. You could engage. You could talk to them in all the multiple languages. And then, of course, for the greats who we have already lost, they can now be recreated very fast, very inexpensive compared to how it used to be, 10, 15, 20 years ago. And it'll keep getting easier and easier to do that. This is the ultimate fan experience. You used to have to watch a documentary or you used to have to watch file footage, Babe Ruth swings, and it's like grainy, but imagine being able to talk to Babe Ruth about, we actually have a George Brett. We did something with George Brett at Kauffman Stadium. He took us through his thoughts about that very famous pine tar incident. And he not only did he talk about that, this was an exhibition at Kauffman Stadium. So there was there's Caleb Williams now over my shoulder. I was talking about you earlier. And by the way, here's Manny Pacquiao. We beamed Manny Pacquiao in from Korea a couple of years ago prior to a press conference. So, but back to George Brett. He put the pine tar on the bat. He showed us how to put on pine tar. He described the smell of pine tar, and you could watch a TV show or you could open up a book and read about something, but actually hearing from the person, talking to them, asking them questions, and then them responding, there's nothing like that for that has ever existed before in the fan experience category. This is great. We're in about 50 arenas and stadiums.
Okay.
We're in a couple of halls of fame. We're in the Patriots Hall of Fame. We're in several others. We're working with all the different sports. It's great.
Could one of these hologram athletes ever coach? Is that something that could be down the line?
Kind of. We did something about a year or two ago, a European football
Mhm.
Some people call it soccer, but I'm not
Soccer.
going to get into that debate, and I don't want to start something.
That's another podcast.
That's a whole other podcast. We're not going to. We beamed. Actually, I think it was a rugby team. Now that I think about it, so take back the last 20 seconds. Just
Okay,
kidding.
we'll
Leave
cut
all
that
that
part
in.
out.
No, leave all that in. This is what we beamed the entire team to a bunch of elementary schools all over
Oh.
parts of Europe, and so they were giving lessons to children on sportsmanship, on different, you know, ways to do stuff. I don't know different rugby terms, but it was really cool. It was sponsored by a not like a T-Mobile or Verizon. It was
Mhm.
sponsored by that of the in Europe, and it was really cool. So it showed the live communication. It allowed for children to learn from the athletes themselves, and it was really wild. So we already did it ish, and it can 100% be done live. So you could beam in, and you could beam in a coach right now live, and they could
Mhm.
beam in from wherever they are, and they could coach. But an AI hologram could be the ultimate coach, because you could take the system of this guy and the character of this lady and and so you could build the ultimate coach.
You could
Whoa.
build the ultimate coach.
You can actually build
Oh.
the ultimate. So that could be something. Maybe we work on that. Maybe we all stop doing what we're doing now and just let's come up. Maybe, I don't know, maybe we ask your listeners to build the
Yes.
ultimate coach
Who
and
is
put
the
it
ultimate
into, and
coach?
and so what would the hologram look like? What would be the face of the hologram?
Yep.
Because people talk about that all the time. They say what's the Mount Rushmore of basketball? What's like, and it's like Jordan, Kobe, like LeBron, like, so build the ultimate coach, and then you could actually put that into a game setting. That could be really interesting.
That could, because you could blend the specialties of 3, 4 different people, and not only their image, but how they view the game, how they tackle a play. That would be
Yeah.
fascinating.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
as you were kinda saying earlier, especially at one point, like, living and deceased, you could pull from someone who had knowledge from, 30 years ago with someone who has knowledge now. Oh,
The
David,
greatest.
you've got
The
me thinking.
greatest of all time could be put into a single AI avatar
Yeah.
and coach based on 200 years of experience. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Centuries of
Ooh,
experience.
that would be incredible.
Chills.
Um,
Chills. I'm getting chills.
well, I think it speaks to, let's look ahead. What is the future of this? What are, like, short and long term, what are you working on?
Right now, we're being used a lot in conference rooms. I'd love to see Proto being used in living rooms. I think that I think in the future, this is a consumer play. I think this makes your life easier. But from a sports point of view, I think this is how fans and the greats, living and dead, connect, communicate in a way that they've never been able to before. I believe that this eliminates space, beam anybody from anywhere to anywhere. It eliminates time. You could bring somebody back and have them be present
Mhm.
in a situation. Um, and it also it saves money and the environment. Because like when you're beaming somebody somewhere, or when you're bringing back an AI, you no longer have to send either the person um, or the product, the memorabilia. You don't have to put it
Mhm.
on a plane and bring it from gig to gig. We're doing that. By the way, we're selling sports memorabilia through Proto.
Oh,
Christie's auctions. Do you know Christie's auctions?
yeah.
They have they have like showrooms all over the world, that San
Mhm.
Francisco and New York and all over. We did this with Babe Ruth's jersey. We've done this with David Gilmour's guitar. We did this with a Giacometti statue from God knows how many years ago. And so instead of putting it on a plane or a truck, the insurance is, I can't
Yeah.
even imagine what it would cost to insure one of these things against possible damage or loss or whatever. These are one of ones,
Yeah.
and they cannot never be replicated ever again because they're hundreds of years old. So they beamed them from the safety of their showrooms into all Christie's locations, into Proto devices. And so now more people are seeing them. David Gilmour's guitar, Kurt Cobain's guitar, and Jerry Garcia's guitar. Those three, they were all in the Jim Irsay collection. Jim Irsay, big
Oh,
sports guy. So
yeah.
Jim Irsay puts up all of his guitars. He has like 100 guitars. And we put three of them in Proto devices at Christie's. Gilmour's guitar went for almost $15 million. And it
Woo!
never had to be seen in
Mean.
public. And I'm going to take full credit for that. I think Proto, when I say I mean the royal
Mhm.
Proto. Yeah, so it really does. It saves the environment a lot. So for those of us who care about stuff like that, you're no longer having to send memorabilia, merchandise, people on very bad for the environment,
Yeah.
jet-fueled plane trips all over the world. I mean, I like to go places, but if you don't have to physically be there, you beam in, do your thing, beam out, save a lot of time, money, in the environment. I
Oh,
don't
man.
remember what your question was. I went on a thing just now,
You're good.
but,
What
maybe I answered it in one of my 8 answers there, so.
you just made me think, how many business trips have I taken where I was like, this could have been an email, or
Right.
why couldn't I just, teleported here and then teleported back, which is basically kind of what you're creating. It's its
Kinda,
own
yeah.
teleportation system.
This could have been a hologram. This could have been a proto.
This
Maybe we
could have been
replaced this could have been an email with
could have
this could have been a proto,
this could have been a
you know?
proto.
I'll tell you one of my most fun things
Yeah.
was 2 years ago, I'm in my showroom, Shatner's behind me and all these people, and all of a sudden, Dana White walks in here. Dana White, I didn't know he was coming. He was on a podcast here. We do a lot of podcast stuff here. He walks in, he says, "I have no idea what I'm looking at, but I could think of 100 ways I would use it." And then I was like, "Oh my God, this is crazy. Take my number. We're exchanging phone numbers. I'm exchanging phone numbers with Dana White." I think he's blocked me since then because all of a sudden the blue
Oh,
went to
did they go
green.
green?
I went from blue to green. I might have
Dana.
okay. Yes, this is what happens when you give me your phone number. So anyway, really great guy though. He ended up buying Protos, and he put the first one at Noche 206 at the Sphere, and he called it his love letter to Mexico. AI Dana White speaking Spanish in the Proto to all of the fans. He was speaking. In fact, Dana Blanco was globally trending on SportsCenter and the MMA sites because Dana White, Dana Blanco. It
Yeah.
was amazing. And so, Dana, please unblock me if you've blocked me. But it's okay. I think you know what? I was probably overusing the text, and
No,
so
give him another shot, Dana.
give me another shot.
I do wanna ask, with AI, we've seen a lot of it. I come from tech, so I've seen a lot of it the last few years around discussion around the legal and ethical issues of AI and likeness. So I do wanna
Yeah.
ask you, there are things circling in Congress right now. There's lots of discussions on where's the line. How does I guess 2 things. 1, how do laws that either are in effect or are likely to go into effect change what you're trying to do? And then how do those broader discussions, how do you bring those considerations in to what you develop?
You have to trust the company who you're working with. So if you're ever going to use an AI, I've got 10 AI apps on my phone. Sometimes when I ask an AI a question, I'll take their answer, I'll drop it into another AI, say, "This is what this one said," and says, "Well, you know." So you almost want to challenge.
Pit them
You have to
against
do
each
your.
other.
You can't just believe everything that AI is going to tell you. So you have to challenge it. You have to, because a lot of times it wants to please you. There's something called like
Mhm.
AI hallucinations. Also, it'll just
Yep.
make stuff up.
Yep.
So you have to use it as a tool, not as as the thing. Like, check your answers.
Mhm.
So you're responsible. And I like AI not to replace people, but to enhance people. Like I would use a calculator. I could do
Mhm.
the long form. It'll take me a minute to get there, but I will use AI that way. And so, similarly, you're using AI through Proto in the same way. It's extending your abilities. It's enhancing your knowledge base. If we were in a Walmart or a Target or a Best Buy, there's no way any single salesperson there, even if they've been there for 20 years, can know all 14,000 SKUs, what
Yeah.
aisle they're on, what the price is, what it does. So this allows for that salesperson to enhance their ability to be a better representative of the company. And so I'm really into it, but you have to know who you're dealing with. You have to understand the your responsibilities with it. Um, and when you're doing it, when you're actually creating an AI of yourself or of a likeness of another person, the guardrails that you put in are the most important thing. Guardrails, I don't want to talk badly about this person. I don't want
Mhm.
to I don't want to bring race relations or global politics. I'm never going to answer those questions. And so the guardrails are put in very specifically so that if I'm asked that question, if somebody's being like kind of a smart guy and he wants to get my AI to say something, I'm not going to say it because
Yeah.
we've prompted it securely to do it. And so that's what every company needs to know is how to prompt their own AI or hire a company that you trust to do it for you.
And those guardrails, do you think they apply to the, maybe not more legal, but ethical landscape of AI, especially when you're talking about bringing someone back or bringing someone as a digital entity?
Mhm. Yeah. I don't I'm not truly in love with bringing people. I think it's important in certain cases. I know in my past life of digital resurrection, I ran a company that had patents that were once famously used to put Tupac on stage at Coachella,
Mhm.
and so we were bringing back. As I'm talking, by the way, for everybody looking over my left shoulder is Biggie, Notorious B.I.G. So I'm talking about the ethical landmines of bringing back people, and then of
There he
course
is.
the ghost of Biggie Smalls materializes over my shoulder. So um, Biggie, you threw me off a little bit here, so now I don't even remember where
He's
I
just
was
staring
going
you
with this.
down.
He is. He's not saying much. He's just kind of looking at me. So ask me the question again because I
Do
totally.
do those guardrails that you were talking about also
Oh
apply
yeah,
in an ethical, or is that how you view it ethically
yeah.
as well?
I do. I think it's morally, ethically, legally, all the factually. I think all of those things play a very important role. It should be a trusted source. I think about it all the time. I didn't love bringing back the late. I felt like at some point it got a little macabre for me, which is
Mhm.
why I started this. I was like, I don't want to fully rely on people dying,
To
icons dying, because I mean, there was a time when I'm not going to say who it was, but there was a time when like one or two icons just passed back to back, and I remember thinking to myself, how long do I wait before I call the estate and say, "Hi, I'm David. I bring late legends back." I was like, This is not my life. This is not good."
Yeah.
There was we were the only ones doing it, so it's not like it wasn't like a land grab, like, "Let's get them all." But I was like, "It's not really for me." I'm a broadcaster. I wanted
Yeah.
to connect the living. So I never really thought about it, but now it's coming back again because of AI, and now all of the ethics and morals, that come into play mean a lot more than just putting a Amy Winehouse on stage and having her perform, and you're going to get a lot of backlash for something like that because of how she was allegedly treated while she
Yeah.
was alive by her management, or things of that nature. I don't know much about that, but yeah, this is different. These are historically accurate. They are there for education as well, information, not just for your entertainment, not just to deliver a bag to the grandkids, you know?
Well, and it's so funny you say grandkids because as you've been talking, I've thought, like, there's almost 2 tracks for this. You have the very public part of it. Let's say an athlete or a celebrity wants to participate in this. There is a very public part, but there is also the private part. What if they just wanna have this for their great-grandchildren in 50, 60 years when they're not around? I'm sure that
Yeah,
plays into it as well.
we're doing that. We're doing that. And I wasn't fully on board with this at first either. We have recently made global news. It's funny how the things that you're not necessarily that you don't put as your top 10 just
Is
because of the category. I'm very look, I care about people. I care about what people think of me. I care about what people think of Proto. And so we recently used our hologram technology, and we, with Hyperreal again,
Mhm.
we partnered up with a lady, a widow, who was recently widowed. Her husband Bill passed away, and she brought Bill back to
Mm.
be at his own funeral as a
Oh,
hologram, and he was able to answer questions. He made everybody feel comfortable. He kind of cracked a joke or two, and he was loaded up with all of the Pam is the widow. She had 60 years of she put it all into the hologram, and it was really a special moment. And she said it was good for everybody. It was a way to deal with loss, and it was
yeah.
emotional. And anyway, uh, billions of impressions. If that's something that's important to companies, it's important to me that people know who we are.
Mm,
Never in a million years would I have thought that a funeral hologram would have been the biggest story of the year for us. So this is obviously something that means something to people, and I'm wrong a lot of time. I go, "This is not something people want." People want this, and
yeah.
so we're open to these conversations, but it has to be respectful, has to be everybody has to sign off on this. But yeah, we're a business, and we care about people, and if this is something that you want, this is uh this is what we're doing.
So if someone did want that, whether they're a celebrity, an athlete, or me, you and me, what is the process to start building that immortal hologram right now? Like, what do they have to do?
Great. So if it's you or me, or anybody who's listening right now, we're still here. So the process is a lot faster and cheaper.
Right.
We can film you. Either Proto can do it, or we can teach you how to do it yourself. Literally, all you need is the same camera that beams you places. Could
Mhm.
be an iPhone, could be any 4K camera. You capture the person for 90 seconds to 2 minutes at the most, and basically by capturing that person, you want to do head to toe, and there's a production process. I'll send you
Yeah.
the actual production process if you're interested. And you're going to make eye contact with the camera. You're never going to break eye contact, so your hologram doesn't look all shifty by looking around the room when the AI picks up on how this person talks. You want to make eye contact. You also want to talk about anything and use a range of different expressive voices. So it's like, I'm excited. I talk up here, but I'm going to also, I want to, so you're going to just talk. You don't have to say anything in particular, but you just want to talk for 90 seconds. So the AI in the software can pick up on your tone, your vibe, your cadence, your mannerisms. So it's got your body, it's got your face, it's got how you talk. And then you're done. And then after that, your AI avatar is just kind of standing there not doing anything. That's when the prompt engineering comes in, and we have a system within our own operating system.
Mhm.
We're a software company on top of the fact that we look like a hologram in a box company. You could literally prompt yourself. You prompt yourself. These are the
Oh.
things. I don't know how to prompt myself. We have an app for that. Say I'm David Nussbaum, the founder of Proto, and I want an avatar that explains everything about my life and everything. And so it'll spit out 10,000 words about me. If there's any, it'll find my LinkedIn. It'll look at Wikipedia, any public stuff. You don't have any public stuff, you might have to put a little bit more information in there. And then you're done. Then it's put in there. You test it. It sounds like you. It looks like you. It's great. How many languages? 75 languages. Great. So now my AI avatar speaks Italian, speaks Zulu, I mean, it's wild stuff. It takes very little time. It's really easy to do, and it's getting easier every day.
I was gonna say, like, you summed it up brilliantly. It sounds so easy.
I hope I made it sound easy. I mean, look, the first time you do it, it's gonna be like, "I don't know what I'm doing," but
It's
it's okay.
everything.
We're here for you. And, um, you ever get, like, an update on the iPhone? You're like, "But I just learned how to do the last update on the iPhone." Like,
I
I
just
don't
did
want
my
it.
last update.
I just did my last up same thing. Like, and then but, you're like, "Oh, this is actually better. This is
Yeah.
better." Like, I didn't wanna update. I was happy with the way it was. This is great. And, Proto updates every 6 to 8 weeks.
Okay.
our operating system levels up. So in 6 weeks from now, this is going to do even more stuff than it did. And this is Jewel over my shoulder. We don't have an
Yeah.
AI of Jewel, but Jewel performed. Uh, she reached out to me. She said she wanted to do an exhibition, an art exhibition at
Mm.
Crystal Bridges, which is in Arkansas.
Okay.
And Crystal Bridges is actually, I think, founded by one of the Waltons, Alice Walton.
Oh,
And this is,
okay.
by the way, we were just talking about my so anyway, so Jewel, we did a hologram of Jewel. This is my dad.
Ah!
So for everybody watching, this is wait. So say that. Say that. Wait, I'm gonna fast forward you a little bit, Dad. Here. This is my dad and my mom. So
Ah!
this is great. So we were just talking about legacy.
Mhm.
My mom and dad, if you're watching this, they're holograms of my parents. That, if you're 5'10", you appear 5'10". They look like they're there. The
Yeah.
shadows, the reflections, it's them. My great grandchildren will get to know my
Oh.
parents. And it's really great. Like, I don't know my great grandfather. I don't even know
Yeah.
his name. I don't know what he did for a living. But now with
They
technology, it's there. It's always going to be there now. So things
yeah.
are starting to get really exciting.
You
Yeah.
know, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, what does the average sports fan experience and relationship with Proto look like? Are they using it every day? Is it when they go into a stadium? Is it just fully ingrained into their day-to-day activities?
I wish I could think 5 or 10 years out. I'm trying to think about what I'm doing in 5 or 10 minutes from now. This because things move really quickly. But I'll you know what? I'll go like Star Trek a little bit on
Yeah.
you. I think that we're watching our games. I think we're not just watching. I think we're involved in the
Hmm.
game. I think we're interacting. We're starting to see what's it called? Cosmic baseball and banana ball. Like the
Yep.
fans are in so
In
the game is changing. And so I think it's you're now not you don't only have to be there. We're seeing this with the sphere. We're seeing this with Cosm. You're
Mhm.
involved. You're a
Yes.
part of it. Proto's going to allow you to have, and does to some extent already, involvement. You're in the game. You're a part of it. Right now, it's people, it's the athletes, it's the merchandise, it's all of it's the memorabilia. You're interacting with it in such a unique way. But in 5 or 10 years from now, it's probably not gonna be boxes. Like the VCR was important for the DVR or the TiVo, and the TiVo became the DVR.
PBR.
I would love for Proto so we're constantly evolving. I would love for us to put out the next thing. I wanna put, like, a tablet on the ground and hit a button, zoom, and then
Yeah.
a Proto hologram kinda comes out. This is what people want. This is what people expect because they watch movies. They watch
Yeah.
The Time Machine, or they watch Back to the
Star Trek.
Future, or they Star Trek, help me Obi-Wan Kenobi. So I think I think 10 years is going to be so wild. I mean, think about what AI was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
A lot of people didn't even know what it was 2 years ago. And now you can't live without it.
Yeah.
And so I feel like in 10 years from now, holy cow, it's gonna be ridiculous.
And I think what you touched on, which I'm seeing so much of, and I think is the future, especially in sports, is the personalization of it. More
Yeah.
and more, the fan experience is very personalized to what they want in that moment. And I think this is just gonna be another one of those, how do I get the experience that I want when I watch a football game, a baseball game, when I go to my little league game? What is that personalization? And I think that's what Proto is really marching towards.
I agree. Let's ask Albert Pujols, one of only 3 members of the 700 home run club. I wish I could do that. I actually don't have him on AI either, but he's amazing. He invested in Proto. He's an
You
investor.
and you
He
have
owns
you have a lot of athlete investors.
we have athlete investors.
Yeah.
Al Leiter, from I was a Mets fan growing up, so Al Leiter's an
Mhm.
investor. We have Albert Pujols, Luke Walton. I used to sell the play-by-play when I was working for the radio station, when he was with the Lakers. Luke Walton, 20 years, almost to the day from when he was on the team and I was selling his play-by-play to him investing in the company. Brittany Griner, Marshawn Lynch, Sony Michel, the
Yep.
list goes on and on. Howie Mandel, not a typical athlete. He's athletic with his comedy though. But yeah, it's great. We have and the most amazing investors, and that's the only reason, not the only reason. I mean, that's one of many reasons why you and I are actually talking today. This is not an inexpensive company to run,
Oh, I'm
and
sure.
you need investors. And a lot of these investors, like Albert Pujols and many others who are athletes, um, they also give us their connections. They're posting, go on X or Instagram, they're posting. It's really great. So it's very important. We love our athlete investors and also our
And every
lesser
investor.
famous, all
Yeah.
of our investors. Very important.
Well, my last question, David, if you could create an interactive AI hologram of any athlete, dead or alive, one conversation, any era, any sport, who is it? And what
Oh
is the
man.
first question you're asking them?
Okay. So maybe you have to go back. It wouldn't be alive. It would have to be a late legend. Because if you're alive, I have a shot at maybe getting to you and talking to you. So I'm gonna go with holy cow. I mean, do I go football? It could be Muhammad Ali. It could be Jackie Wilson. Jackie
Mm.
Robinson? Sorry, Jackie
Yeah.
Wilson. Cut that part out. I'm kidding. No, keep everything in. I this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. Yeah, maybe Jackie Robinson. I
Yeah.
think what he must have gone through. I like I not only do I like icons, I like trendsetters. I like I like people who did stuff first.
Mhm.
And as much as I'd love to talk about any of these other athletes, I'd have to say what Jackie Robinson did was iconic and really set the tone for everybody who came after him. I don't know any one particular question. I think I would really get into that conversation though. Um,
It would be good.
uh, yeah, that conversation because also, I was with the Dodgers radio for a while and so I think my connection would come full circle in that moment. But yeah, maybe what made you keep going? How did you block everything out and
Yeah.
became you were a great. It is so hard to get your job done when people love you, when
Yeah.
people are rooting for you, but he had so many naysayers and haters. I mean, it didn't get much worse for him than anybody. I mean, he had it as bad or worse than any other athlete who ever existed, and yet he managed to become the greatest or one of the greatest. And so, I think my question to be, how did you cut out all the noise and focus and stay focused?
How'd
That
you
was
do it? Yeah.
how'd you do it? There has to be better questions. But some
Um,
unique question I just came up with. So
I'll tell you
really,
mine.
David, that's your unique question?
No.
Yeah,
No.
it's the same question everybody probably would have for him. So.
But I'll tell
Ay.
you mine. Probably not feasible, but I wanna go back and talk to Tommy Bridges, who was the Detroit Tigers pitcher from
Mm.
1930 to 1946, and the reason I wanna talk to him is there is a long-standing story in my family that my grandfather pitched 2 innings for the Detroit Tigers when Tommy
Oh,
Bridges
yeah?
took a hit in 1938 during a game. My grandfather played baseball at the collegiate level before World War II. We've never been able to verify this, but it's just always kinda been there, and there's parts of it that don't make sense. How did my grandpa get down to Detroit? How did this work? But there are parts of it that do.
Hmm.
So I've been on a quest for a while to figure out, did my grandpa pitch 2 innings for the Detroit Tigers? And the only person that I could talk to, I think, is Tommy Bridges. So that would be mine. I gotta figure that out.
Let's work on that one together. I feel like there's a part 2 coming up. So I hope this was interesting for your listeners. This is I love sports broadcasting. I got a little nervous because of my desire. I've been telling people I want to do a half an inning of play-by-play for any team who's willing to have me. This literally my six when I was 6. I remember watching the Mets games. It was like 1980, 1981, something like that. And I remember watching the Mets game and turn the volume down and my parents tell me that my buddies and we would all just kind of call the games. We would do the I would do the play by play. Someone else would do the color. I'm, I'm, you know. And then I remember when I would sell the airtime, I would get into when I was with the Yankees, John Sterling and Susan Waldman's play-by-play booth. Rest in peace, John Sterling, and Vin here in the Dodgers, and they knew I wanted to. They didn't even let me. I was like, "Can I just scream something from back here in the back of the room?" They wouldn't.
No.
So maybe one day. Maybe one day. But this is great for me. I feel like a little bit of my childhood, David, the passionate wannabe broadcaster, maybe accomplished a little something today with you.
I'm so glad. Really, it has been a treat having you on to learn more about this. I really do think what you're creating is the future. I think what you're creating is something that, again, not just for athletes and coaches and insiders and celebrities, but for everyday folks like me down the road who want this sort of technology in their lives for that legacy and for their future generations. So I appreciate you taking the time to come on. This has been fantastic.
Thanks for having me. This is great.
Thanks for spending time with us in the middle. If today's story caught your attention, drop a subscribe, share the episode, follow us on social media, and remember, it ain't over till it's over.